I'm Jack Shepard. I'm running in the September 9th GOP U.S. Senate primary against Norman Coleman. I'm getting a little scared, I'm getting a little worried, but for you, I'm worried about the 27,000 American veterans who Norman Coleman voted against your health care, that you should have rehabilitation, voted against that your insurance wouldn't be adjusted to inflation, and he says he supports our troops. It's not true, it's just misleading you. Okay, I'm really scared for the union workers of America. I'm scared also for the Democratic Party. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance that if Al Franken wins and you can eliminate Norman Coleman by voting for me on September 9th, that you could get that magic 60 number instead of wasting our time with the U.S. Senate that just filibusters and nothing happens. That's why everybody in America is mad at our Congress, because of the United States Senate, and Norman Coleman even called off the filibuster on the most important labor law in history, the Employee Free Choice Act. So everybody in all of America is watching the union workers of Minnesota. Are you going to take Norman Coleman out in the primary, or are you going to gamble and see what dirt he throws up? He's got $7 million, he's holding something back right till a couple weeks before the November election, and then he hits a boom, and Al Franken something else, maybe about a tax thing he didn't pay, or a workman comp, or who knows, maybe there's two other articles he wrote 25 years ago, God only knows. Norman will go to anything to win this thing. You know, this is a change. We are fighting for a change. We're going to take over the United States Congress with the working people, not the big business, not the big pharmaceuticals, not the big banks, not the real estate. Norman Coleman sold out to these people. I don't know why he did it. I mean, he didn't need the $15 million. He changed after the election in 2006 when the Republican Party sort of got massacred, but why couldn't he start it out like that originally? Why did he have to vote 98% on the Republican aisle in 2003? His slogan, "We're bringing you together," it's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, he's voted all total, all 6 years, over 90% with the Republican aisle. A couple times he didn't vote, his vote wasn't needed, but it looked good for the election. You know, it's just right now you can get that miracle, once-in-a-lifetime chance, 60 Democratic senators that use filibuster-proof, where our Congress can get something done instead of the last 2 years of wasted time. And the first thing they're going to get done for the American workers is this Employee Free Choice Act. The labor unions have gone down from 30% to 20% to 12%. When people are in the union, they get benefits, they get health care, they get protection, and they can't survive really without it. It's the people who aren't in the union that get taken advantage of. They don't have their insurances, they don't have the coverage, they don't get health care. The people in the union get a package that they deserve, that keeps them happy, that supports their family, and it's a necessity. So it's now or never. We don't know what's going to happen in the last minute. On September 9th, you can turn out in mass for all the people who don't like Norman Coleman. I mean, that's the anti-war people. That's all the labor people. That's the people who don't have health care. Minnesota, something like, I think 724,000 people don't have health care. Average year, 120 people die somewhere on the street or somewhere trying to get to the hospital in a taxi because they didn't have health care. Norman Coleman voted against an $80 billion raise in health care. He voted for a $40 billion cut in Medicaid. You know, where is his caring for the people? Al Franken is a person who worked to end the Iraqi war, who helped labor, who helped them pass this act. You know, if Norman Coleman gets reelected, it'll be the 41st senator, so you'll never have a filibuster-proof Senate, and the work that has to be done will never get done. You know, he's misled us. I mean, he voted against infrastructure from $10 to $100 million over so many years. You saw one of the Minnesota bridges fall. maybe if Norman would have voted and that would have passed the money for our infrastructure, maybe that bridge disaster wouldn't happen. When Steve Hunter, the Secretary-Treasurer of the Minnesota AFL-CIO, in a recent news conference says on Norm Coleman to change his ways, put working families first. Senator Coleman isn't standing with the working family. Hunter said he's standing on their throats. Is this the person we want to send back for another 6 years to the U.S. Senate? It's not. It can't be. I mean, it's just Norman Coleman is working for someone else. He's not working for you and he's not working for me. He's working for the big business, the people that give him the $15 million. Oh, and this is a joke. Okay, Baghdad, I was there 5 times before the war. They had a $79 billion surplus. Norman Coleman says, take back $1 billion. I don't agree. I say take back 50% of that, and next year's and the year after and the year after. We are building more bridges, more infrastructure, more hospitals, and they're getting destroyed as fast as we can build them. If they made $79 billion this year, it's because of us. They'll make $79 billion next year, or 100, or 200, or 300. Right away, starting immediately, if I was in the Congress or Al Franken, we want a 50%, at least $40 billion back right away, and to continue on indefinitely until their debt is paid. I mean, we've been taken for a ride. You know, these people, they worked very, well, I warned against it. You know, they have trouble working together. They never work together. There's some areas of the world that the people aren't used to democracy. It's hard to grow democracy after years of tyranny. I mean, Saddam Hussein, the greatest crime, the worst thing he ever does, and no one talked about it that I investigated, during the period of the embargo, he let 1,200,000 people, little babies, die. He didn't buy medicine, he didn't buy medical equipment, but he was building palaces, he was building statues, and no one talks about it. Go to my website, Jack Shepard for Senate, and on the right side, click, it shows visit to Iraqi hospital underneath my blessing from Pope John Paul. On the environment, Coleman voted against returning the levels for 2010 back to 2000. What does he do these things for? It just makes no sense. The environment, he voted against cleaning up, You know, the bottom line, he's held a pattern. He knows he's out of touch with reality, and now he's switching. He's trying to get acceptable last year for this election, but we're going to hold him to his record. We're not going to let him flip-flop and distort everything. And it's just, we can't trust him. Until he's eliminated from the Minnesota Senate race, you still could get him back again. If you are waiting for that general election at 12 midnight to see what happens, if there's no terrible accident like happened to Paul Wellstone, you know, for me it was an assassination. Nothing you can bank on in this world until it's in the bank. If on September 10th, Jack Shepard beats Norman Coleman, the labor movement of Minnesota will have so many calls from the leaders of the labor movement throughout America congratulating them because they did it. They did it. They're going to have their labor law passed.
Well, just leave it on the table. Sure, second lady. Are you excited about the convention?
Well, actually, I'm excited for a couple reasons. One, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, so it's
nice.
kind of coming home.
Nice. By the way, you know, you would think in New York, Brooklyn might get some applause. Nothing. It is. I go to Brooklyn every day. I don't know.
Hard to imagine growing up as a Jewish kid, Democrat in Brooklyn, New York, to be the Republican senator from Minnesota, but here I am. Things happen.
You were a Democrat in New York, and now you're a Republican in Minnesota.
It's,
you know, some might call that, I don't know, a flip-flop.
Sir, indeed.